everyone, this is Star Zenith 33, Laura Francesca here in the podcast. And I am going to be talking today about the full moon that just entered in the sign of Capricorn. Okay. I never miss them, even if they're a little bit late. Like I will podcast, but we're still in the portal. Okay. So, while we're in the portal, there's a lot of things that are happening at this moment. Okay. We're doing a lot of thoughts right now about where we are going. What is our next step? Okay. As this full moon has approached and is helping us to let go of our Capricorn themes. Okay. So let's go in there and talk about it. Okay. So we're here. Thank you for following the Podbean here podcast, the Astro Weather Celestial Clockwork, where every week I talk about the transits that are happening with the planets and so forth. And, okay. Yeah. And so I was looking at my phone and I was like, I hope I took off the music already. So anyway, we're right now going to be talking about what is happening with this full moon in Capricorn. And, I was feeling a little bit, I'm not going to lie, I was feeling a little bit tired. And I don't know, lately I've been getting very tired. And that's not really my energy. I'm usually upbeat. So I don't like to podcast when I'm like super extremely tired, because I'm not trying to project that energy out there. I want some good energy out there. And if I'm not feeling with so much energy, I'm just not going to do the podcast. But, thank God my oil is here to the rescue. I dabbed a little bit of oil on me and it pumped me up a little bit with some energy. And it is 10:43 right now. So a PM, and I think right now is the perfect time to be talking because there's a lot of noise within like earlier in the day and so forth, and especially with the whole FIFA and stuff. But I think right now everything's kind of the energy's dying down, and it's a perfect time to talk right now. So before anything, you guys know I talk about the Siberian symbol is another type of frequency of what is going on when it comes to the degree of Capricorn. Okay. And so the degree for this full moon is at 8 degrees. We know 8 has to do with wealth. It has to do with loss. It has to do with endings as well. And that is what the full moon, it is about an ending. Okay. So let me just jump in there. Okay. So Capricorn 8, the symbolism is birds in a house singing happily. Okay, so we might spot a lot more birds or crows or eagles or owls or anything like that. Okay, especially if you're out in nature, or airplanes. That also symbolizes air, like birds, or feathers. We might find feathers if we're doing like power walks or something like that. I know I always find them. Lately I've been finding a lot of black feathers. So, black feathers can symbolize protection, or it could symbolize the passing of people, that are just going away. So it says here, happy acceptance of limitations. The earth plane is defined by its limitations, and those who accept and enjoy coping with this fact are the happy ones. Okay. The full enjoyment of a happy life is hardly available to people who feel frustrated and thwarted by the strong boundaries that limit personal freedom. It is assessed only by those who have come to terms with the scope of realistic possibility and willingly accept the conditions of constraint that life on earth implies. Simply because we inhabit physical bodies in a limited plane of existence, we must curb our passions and desires. When we do, only when we do, we will be able to know lasting joy. So, it goes on with a sunlit home Domesticated birds sing joyously. So maybe you might want to sing as well. You might want to listen to music, okay? It says, no matter what, at core, we are who we are. The image given of birds in a house singing happily leads to a contemplate, simple, and beautiful relationship between the higher and lower selves. The descent of spirit or intelligence occurs whether or not we invoke the presence, and we may only first become aware of it when we notice ourselves singing for no good reason. This is about the actuality and impregnability of independence of every individual. We have an insatiable urge to put everything to use and put each of our many talents to work in every part of everyday reality. The employment of our skills and knowledge is a celebration of our being, and there's no limit to the new ways we can find to express yet another authentic aspect of our unique potential. Eventually, it becomes completely evident who we are, and as we make the world our own and call on all others to share it with us, they become not only witnesses of our state of realization, but in some mysterious way, co creators of it with us. And then it talks about the Buddhist teaching that, we must be careful who we spend time with because to some significant extent, they shape us, they shape our reality. The establishment of our world is the establishment of ourselves. Humanity's self fulfillment is real only to the extent we are successful in shaping circumstances, since outer situations are simply the mirror of our inner world. The realization of another level of understanding who we are must be followed by a decision to make the realization manifest in the world, and then taking action upon this decision. Therefore, we need to express an outward vision, since it is that which gives rise to the precipitation of events. As they become a higher revelation of what previously was limited to the world of our imagination, this is what causes us to meet new situations, though which we meet new people who are also projecting their own unique vision. Idle narcissism is a danger to avoid. It is unhealthy to spend all of our time in self-obsessed activities and inner reflection. A balanced self-image is more likely to lead to fulfillment and happiness. It is our interaction with others that forces us to balance and rebalance our sense of self. So no matter what circumstances we find ourselves, at core, we continue to be exactly who we are, nothing else. This core cannot be disestablished. However, much we bend to others and are shaped by their impression upon us. The core is very much more precious than the more ephemeral aspects of personality. So this is birds in a house singing happily. So what makes you happy? What brings you joy? What makes you want to sing? What makes you want to dance? What gives you the permission? You give yourself permission to sing. You give yourself the acceptance to sing, to express yourself, right? You give yourself that agreement and you surrender what no longer serves you, okay? What no longer makes you happy, right? A lot of people do a lot of things that make them unhappy and they're miserable. It could be an example of having a job and you just hate your job, right? But you show up to your job because you need a paycheck, right? Well, a lot of people don't really love what they do. A lot of people just go to work because they need a paycheck, right? And so they're not really following their passion of what makes them happy, right? And sometimes some limitations make people happy, okay? And that's what it's explaining here. Happy acceptance of limits, because maybe if they don't have limits, they can go very far. And not be accountable. Okay, not held accountable. And what limitations does is it gives a structure, and it brings in discipline in your life of you're limited to this. It's, for instance, let's say you have a bunch of money in the bank, right? And there's no limit. You only can withdraw this certain amount, right? The same thing goes like in PayPal, right? Even with deposits, you only can deposit this amount, right? Or you only can withdraw this amount, because if you withdraw everything out, or whether it's your bank account or wherever it is, you're not going to have nothing left over. And a lot of it has to do also, to profit the banks as well. Okay. They don't want you to pull everything out, right? Because they need your money. But, it's a limitation that I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this limit that, I mean, it's not like a huge limit, but it's some sort of discipline that, okay, because if there was no limitation, and I think that's what they had talked about with crypto, right? They said nobody controls crypto, there's no rules to it, like money, and, in crypto, this is why you see a lot of stealing. You see a lot because there's no rules, right? If they feel that they can do it over and over, they're going to do it over and over. Well, they got away with it, so I'm going to do it too. And it's like, no, there's limitations to that. It's also karmic, okay? Because Saturn um, is a ruler of Capricorn, which brings limitations, and it does it to help you. I don't know why I'm hearing the word arrest. The word arrest is coming down. So it's saying, be happy with what you have, be content with what you have, be with the limitations that you might have is for your own good, you know. And this is what I say also, like when I come into gifts or money, or I get paid, or it's payday or whatever, um, I thank my money so it can grow, right? So it just shows a relationship with your money, and how you're responsible with the money, and how your money can grow, and your money just tends to trust you, and maybe it'll give you a much more lower limitation, right? Maybe your next paycheck you might have a little bit more money, or you'll have deposits from other people, or anything like that, right? So or just contracts, new contracts, or new work for you, or something like that, or bookings on your work and so forth. So when we are grateful for the money, it grows, right? And accepting your limitations where you are right now, but don't stay stuck there. Okay. Start thinking of something else, or going to the next level. And that is the topic of this full moon. So let me get off here and now and just go to the wheel. But that way we can start moving along, or else I'll just stay there talking all day about the Siberian symbol. But so that's what it is. 8 degrees is a degree of money, a degree of wealth. Okay. But with Capricorn ruled by Saturn, there is a limitation to the money. There could be some kind of limitation because maybe you need to be able to budget better. If all the money was given to you, would you be able to invest it, or would you just waste it all, right? And a lot of that has to do with growth. I know I've had a lot of lessons. I have Saturn in the second house of money. So I've had a lot of lessons that have to do with money, and major, major lessons. Okay. That is taking a long time for me to earn the same type of money going back to 2001. Okay. When I can say that I had it all at a much more younger age. And, well, not that young, but I was young, early 30s. And so to me, I'm just like, you know, I'm just understanding, of the things of the past and how I took it for granted. And would I do the same thing today? No, absolutely not. Today I've learned major, major lessons with Saturn that has taught me, and For me, it is more about investing. If I had a lot of money, I would be investing in real estate. I love real estate, okay? And I think I'm really good at it. And so I just love homes and properties and so forth, and very emotionally invested in it. Now that I know that I have this uh, asteroid called this lot of wealth, and it's in the sign of real estate, and very emotional towards real estate. You know, you should never get so attached to real estate like that. But and that's something I'm learning. But I just recently understood where I have my lot of wealth, which is the asteroid of wealth. Well, it's in real estate. So anyway, but you know, once you understand all of that, you'll understand why you feel the way you feel about real estate, and how you're so emotional about real estate. And I have a lot of plans with real estate, you know, to help people that cannot afford to buy a home, and make prices affordable, you know, for the people that cannot buy a home, right? But they can rent from me at a much more affordable, you know, rate than other rentals and so forth, you know. And I think people would appreciate that as well. And they would protect the home too, because, you know, it's at a good rate, you know. It's not, you know, it's not high prices. I'm not in competition with other realtors regarding price, right? And so, and that's what happens, you know, when you pay off, um, you know, whether it's duplexes or apartments or lofts or whatever it is, and it's yours and it's paid off, it's yours, right? You could charge whatever you want with it. But I think when people that already have money, it's like, I feel they need to be more generous with people that can barely afford a place, you know, and make it affordable, because it's paid off already, you know, and you get to decide because it's your property, right? So that's just, you know, my future talking and what I want to do with real estate. So, anyway, let's jump into the full moon here in Capricorn as we're talking about real estate. The moon is at 8 degrees of wealth in Capricorn. And so, where it is, let me look at it. That's really important. That is in the second house of wealth. Okay. It's the house of substance. And there, the motto is I have. Okay. So, this is about assets. This is about your resources. Okay. The ability to acquire what we feel we need. Okay, it represents our self worth, our sense of values, our gains, our losses, our experiences through our own efforts. Okay, it has anything to do with personal liberty, material debt, and how we express our values by how we choose to live. It is the abilities we develop as a way of establishing ourselves in the world. So, you know, it could be a vehicle, it could be a home, it could be money in the bank, a lifestyle. All of that entails the second house. And that is where the full moon is. Okay. And it is coming together with Cupido, which is, you know, an asteroid of love, the Cupid's arrow. So there could be some sort of breakup. Okay. Divorce, breakup, separations, anything like that, because Cupido is right next to the full moon. And there's a completion that happens. There's something that comes in full circle. There's something, maybe you were dating somebody in your work area, because, you know, Cupido at 10 degrees of Capricorn, it has to do the workforce, it has to do the workplace. And there's a full moon that circles up, that is, it closes up, that wraps it up. And it could be a lover. It could be maybe an affair. It could be anything like that that has to do with the workforce. Okay. In the second house of money, maybe some separation of assets, or something like that. Okay. Also, the reason I say that is because Cupido is coming together with Foles. Okay. Foles is in Capricorn. Pholus has to do with the domino effect. It's another asteroid. And it has to do with the domino effect. It has to do with, um, I'm kind of pausing because I'm hearing downloads right now. Something about transfer of funds. I'm hearing transfer of funds. So Pholus in Capricorn is in the 11th degree of community, circles, friends, groups, social circles, societies, okay? Um, High elevations, we're talking about skyscrapers, high tall buildings, okay? It's the 11th degree of Aquarius, so anything with technology as well. And Pholus there is where lift the lid and secrets come out. It's kind of similar to Pandora's box, like ta-da, you know. And when you lift the lid, you see what's inside, right? So, Pholus and Capricorn has to do with business in your community or business that belongs to friends, or maybe you do joint finances with your friends as well. Um, so, Pholus is about, it's pretty much like Plutonian energy, okay? It transforms and it destructs. So this is why I say the Pholus is like, let's say, for instance, you're working at a company and maybe they made you manager or something. And then within the circle there of the managerial, position that you have, there's bad apples, right? And so, but you're doing your job. You're doing what you're told. You're doing everything. But there's that one bad apple, right? And that bad apple just tends to be very rebellious and messes it up for the whole group, right? And so that bad apple went to go, maybe did some behind the scenes cheating, or cheating in the workplace, or maybe harassment went through, or something happened, and he or she knows that they should not be touching in that way, you know, there's laws for that, right? And so, what happens is that person was probably married. Let's say an example, right? And now that person is acting kind of weird in the workplace because, but there was never no apology. It was just, and people seeing like, oh, did you see how he touched her? And she's kind of feeling uncomfortable because she's married. And so it's bringing a lot of drama into the workplace. And so, the company doesn't want to get a lawsuit, they don't want to get into trouble because other people see, right? And so they don't talk about it. So then what happens is she gets a lawyer, right? And she wants money out of it. She wants to sue the company. And so since nobody talked about it, nobody had a discussion about it, they just thought they were going to just, sweep it under the rug, pretend that nobody's seen or nothing like that. And so here she goes with the lawyer, right? So it's that one bad apple that was rebellious. And now everything's found out. And so not only is the person that did that in trouble, but now everybody's in trouble, right? So the domino effect is, if you take a domino, what's going to happen? They're all going to fall one by one by one by one by one, right? And it's because you didn't take care of it. You didn't address it. You didn't talk about it, right? And so that's an example that can happen, okay? When I talk about the domino effect, you take one domino out, they're all going to fall. And even if they had nothing to do with it, they were an ally, right? They were part of the group. One gets in trouble, everybody gets in trouble, right? And it kind of reminds me when I was a longshoreman, because, when one gets hurt, everybody gets hurt, right? And it was a motto that they have where they said, an injury to one is an injury to all. So that's why we had to be very careful and have each other's backs, because, if this person gets hurt, we're all going to get hurt, you know. And, one mess up that they can do is going to hurt everybody in the team. And I'm talking about physically being hurt, because it was, longshoremen, we know it's a very dangerous type of environment, and everything has to be taken serious, or you're going to be hurting people, or killing people because it's that dangerous. So that's soulless, okay? And it's coming together with Cupido, some kind of love situation there with the full moon, okay? Um, so there looks like something is caught, something is damaging within the company in the second house of money, okay, of wealth. So that's what's happening there. Let me see what this asteroid here. Okay, this asteroid here also is coming together with the full moon, and it's Moni. Okay, Moni is big money. Okay, and it's at 5 degrees of Leo. So yeah. So that is what's happening there. So there could be some loss regarding big money as it comes together with the full moon. Maybe some money that you have to release. Okay. Maybe pertaining to a Leo that does businesses that makes a lot of money. Okay. In the second house, maybe that person might be in real estate. Maybe they could be in I need to do, like, I would say Hollywood as well, because the second house has to do with singing. So it has to do with the throat. So it could be either singing or acting or anything like that, especially because 5 degrees is a degree of Leo that has to do with Hollywood, that has to do with celebrities, with fame. Okay, that is what the Moni is. So these are celebrities that have been getting paid a lot of money. And now with the full moon is time's up. Okay, we're not going to be getting paid that kind of money anymore. Okay, there's not enough money for that anymore. As we know, the film industry has been coming down. In Vedic astrology, we have the Leo South Node right now. Okay, so it's transiting in Vedic, and for us, it's about to enter in July. Well, we're already almost in July. I think it's July 19th, I believe, when it goes in. I think it's the middle of July. And when it enters, and when Leo in the South Node enters in Western astrology, what I'm doing right now, what I'm reading and explaining right now. So first is Vedic has it, which is India astrology, which is the type of astrology a lot of business people use when it comes to big decisions and so forth. And here in Western astrology, is about to enter the South Node. But it's interesting because Jupiter is entering. I think Jupiter already entered Leo. It's supposed to enter today. And it just seems like Jupiter in Cancer did not want to go. I have a feeling I kept, watching it, to see, did it turn Leo already? Did it turn into Leo already? And it wouldn't, you know. And I was like, whoa, it's taking a little bit long time. I think it doesn't want to leave, you know. It got too comfortable, Cancer got too comfortable in Jupiter, where it was very homey, it was very heartwarming, it was very familiar. Maybe it got very in its comfort zone, which it always does. It was very chocolate chip and milk type of, you know my neighbor with his racing car. um and yeah, that could be a sign. Okay, so I pay attention to signs like that. So because his racing car is like, um he's pressing the gas in the engine, um, it's saying, okay, time to go. Get on, Cancer and Jupiter. So, it's interesting, but I don't think it has been that bad, but it has been bad, you know. I've talked about earlier about it was a lot of hoarding, okay? Because Cancer is a sign that holds onto things. It clinches. If you look at a crab and the crab legs and the what is it, the arms or whatever they are, they're claws. So they yank and they claw into things that they love, and things that they want, and they won't let it go, you know. And so it kind of reminds me of my turtle's teeth, okay? Because I don't know what is going on with that boy, but he has been a rebel. okay? And he's clawing his, I don't know, I don't know, I might have to take him to the vet or something, but to do like a physical exam, because I haven't done that ever since I adopted him. I haven't had no problems with him or nothing, but lately his teeth, and I did, you know, a question chat GPT, what could be, why does he, why do turtles, want to bite, and it just said it might be curious, or it might be the teeth might be itching or something like that. But no, I think he just does it. I can't explain his personality, because as soon as I get him out of the aquarium, he gets so happy, and then he chases me all around the house. He does. I've never seen that, and he does that all the time. And I think he gets mad because he's always in the aquarium and I don't take him out. And I'm like, I don't have time. But I try to when I can, and then I'll be like, oh, I'll let him run around the house, right? And so, but when he does, he chases me all over. Like he wants to punish me or he wants to bite me, and he chases me all over, and he opens his mouth and you can see his teeth, and he wants to just bite me. So I always have to use my clockers. I have some, what, the cloakers, or some clockers. I bought some white ones that they're plastic and stuff, so if he tries to bite, he's not gonna bite me. um but yeah, he's a little bit, he's a bad boy. And I already told him, don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna put you back in your aquarium. And I had to actually cut his nails as well, because they were growing really long. And so I don't know, he's getting very creative how he wants to bite. And so, but I don't think nothing's wrong with him, because he follows me. Like, he chases me. It's so weird. One of these days, I'm going to do a video how he chases me around, and he runs real fast. So I'm like, oh God, I hope he doesn't grow any more bigger, because I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I was even kind of thinking, like, if I can't handle him, I might have to send him to, I don't want to, but if he keeps being rebellious like that, then I might have to have him get picked up or something. Right now it's okay. I'm trying to, because he already bled me. Okay, he bit me already. I was barefoot. I didn't think he was gonna bite me, because he never did that. And he bit me. He bit my on the side of my feet, and I was bleeding. And you know, I was like, what the hell is going on with this turd? I was so mad at him. And I said, you're going back in the aquarium. That's it. I'm not taking you out anymore. And he knew I was mad at him, because I was totally ignoring him. But I'm okay. I'm fine. I put, hydrogen peroxide and alcohol and all that stuff. And so I'm good. And some neosporin and all that. And it went away right away. But it really made me mad. And then he bit one of my mom's shoe too. He bit a little piece of the shoe. It was like, oh my God, he's horrible. So anyway, I love my turtle though, but I don't know, that's just some kind of thoughts that I think that if he does start getting ridiculous like that, um, I don't know. First, I'm gonna take him to the vet and see if everything's okay with him, and if he has some kind of, I don't know, if he has some kind of maybe neurology problems or something, then I'm just gonna have to have him get picked up or something. I don't want to, but he wasn't a problem before. This just started happening. So it might be something to do with the planets as well, because Uranus is in Gemini. It has to do with the brain. And when Uranus transits in Gemini, then it affects the head, not just on humans, but on animals. Okay, so we got to be watching our pets. And, because Gemini ruler is Mercury. And also Virgo, okay, Virgo's ruler is Mercury as well. So Virgo rules pets. So it's more likely that your pets can be going a little bit insane with a Uranus in Gemini. Okay. Also, Uranus, it rules the brain. Okay. It rules the brain. And so, so just, pay attention to, your, pay attention to, I'm hearing something about birds. I did have a bird. I had a cockatoo, but he passed away. And he has similar energy as him, I do have to say. They both are, they're both are, uh, animals that probably were abused or that have issues. Like I don't know why I always run into these animals that I have to rescue and I have to save and I have to heal them, so they can go out in the world. And my bird was the same way too, and until he passed away. And I think my bird was abused or something. But and then this turtle is turning out to be wacko jacko. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's overall he's okay. When I take him out, out in nature and out in the sun, he is so good with the people. I've only took him out once though. But when I took him out to West Harbor here, and where they're building this at the waterfront, people just loved him, and I was so afraid. I was like, "Oh my God, don't touch him." I didn't tell the people, but they're like, "Can I touch him?" And I said, "Sure, go ahead." I hope he behaves. I hope he does not try to bite them. And next time I'm going to say, yeah, just sometimes he kind of bites. So it's up to you if you want to touch him. But, just in case, but he was really good with the people. It's like he's good with them. It's with me that he wants to bite me. So he must be mad at me or something. But with the people, he was having a good time. He was loving the spotlight. He was loving the attention. He walked a lot, so he got really tired. And that's what I wanted. So by the time we get to the house, he gets to sleep. But he was good with the people. Okay. He did not bite them. And that was like, well, that is weird. Isn't that strange? Right? Oh, you're good with them, but you're not good with me. Okay. I see. So anyway, it just animals have different personalities. So anyway, enough of animals there. So there's some kind of loss here when it comes to money, probably celebrities, fame, anything like that. When it comes to business in Capricorn, Capricorn also has to do with politics. It has to do with politics and businesses and all that. Okay. Um, there's not going to be a whole lot a lot that I'm going to talk about here, but and I'm almost going to wrap it up here. Um, it is even though I'm picking up energy already now. But anyway, so what we have here, let me see. Okay, let me go with okay, that one doesn't matter there. Um, okay, the moon is squaring Neptune in Aries. It's so interesting. I was looking at another full moon that we had in 2024, and the moon was at 1 degree of Aries, and it was squaring Neptune and Pisces in the fourth house, the same placement that I'm looking at right now. Okay, and it was also in the second house. Okay, and I don't think I was gonna pull it up, but no, I just but it was also squaring Neptune, but when it was in Pisces in the fourth house of real estate. So in 2024, 2 years ago, when we had a full moon, it was challenging real estate near the water, near the ocean. Okay. And so maybe you might want to think about 2 years ago in 2020, July 2024, of what was going on with real estate near the water when it had to do with Pisces. Okay. And it could have been celebrities as well. Okay. It could have been just fame, celebrities, anything like that, near the water. And the full moon, there was a full moon happening as well. Okay. In Capricorn, that has to do with real estate. But it was at 1 degree of Aries. So it was more about taking action. And it was bringing a challenge to maybe the real estate near the water. Okay, maybe some action that was taken. I can say by example where I live here in the community. They're doing a lot of construction, right? There's been a lot of construction for the past few years, right? And I believe this year it finalizes. They're going to do like this Ferris wheel and restaurants and everything, and even a concert, right? But that's not going to be completed till 2028, uh, right on time for the Olympics, okay, in Los Angeles. So, it's going to be one of the areas as well where people can go, not just Los Angeles, but also to West Harbor, to go to concerts. And they have plans to do a lot of concerts, and pack it up the place. And, they want it to be this venue where people go to something similar to Disneyland, right? And not saying it's going to be Disneyland. I'm just saying something similar where you can just, because a lot of people are like, well, where else do we go? Like tourists, where else do we go in LA? We've been to Hollywood, we've been to Santa Monica, we've been to Beverly Hills, where else is there fun or concert going? And West Harbor will be that place, right? Where you can go to and have fun, go eat at restaurants, eat at, the famous, uh, El Frank tacos, right? They're in San Diego as well. There's these famous Tijuana tacos. I've never tasted them, but I can't wait to taste them pretty soon. And, the sushi place, from Hollywood is coming over here. I'm not trying to promote it, but I'm just saying there's going to be a lot of things going on. And, they want to go to a place. Where else can we go? What's the latest spot? What's the latest, so they can head towards, the port of Los Angeles, right? The West Harbor. So, those are some of the things. So 2 years ago, they were doing a lot of construction, you know, and there was a challenge with it. Capricorn has to do with investors. It has to do with, at one degree of Aries, it was about, I don't care, we're going to take action, right? And then something must have happened that they stopped. I'm not going to go into all that detail, but they had stopped the construction because I don't know what they found, and they had to fix that. And then OSHA gets involved in everything else, and so they had to have all the rules about it. You can't just go and just construct, So there were things like that were happening. They fixed them, and so now we're having the same issue 2 years later. And so now the moon in Capricorn, it's challenging the real estate house, the fourth house, that has to do with ancestors, has to do with roots, lineage, your home, your environment, also your body. Okay. And it's in Neptune and Aries, no longer in Pisces. Okay. So now it's about building with action. Okay. For like entertainment and fame and so forth. And it's at 4 degrees of structure, of law and order, of the police, of real estate. Okay. And so the challenge here can be something to do with money, because the full moon is in the house of money, of wealth. So there, especially at 8 degrees, it could be of loss, because that is it's kind of like circling. And also like 2 years ago, thinking about what happened 2 years ago, and we're closing up that chapter. Okay. We're closing up that chapter and we're beginning a brand new chapter with this full moon in Capricorn. Okay. And at 8 degrees, whether it's loss or wins, we close it up and we go on to the next level. What is the next level for you? What is the next level for the city? What is the next level for your community? What is the next level for your career, for your love life, for your health, right? It depends where you have Capricorn in your chart, right? And so, where is that next level? Here for the collective is in the second house of money. It is the next level of learning how to make money. Okay. Of, maybe if you didn't have a TikTok account, maybe now you're going to have a TikTok account. Maybe, if you want to learn how to paint, well, you're going to take a class and you're going to learn how to paint, right? So you can make some money. It's something pertaining to that. Okay. So we wrap one circle up and now we open another one, right? With how to make money. Um, and so this full moon here can bring a challenge to your home. It could be something, for example, you're going to work from home, right? But there's challenges in your home, right? There's challenges, you maybe you need your own space, to do what you want to do, right? Maybe it depends what kind of business you want to do, right? Maybe it could probably be children, you know. Maybe you got to take care of the children and you don't have time. And it's like, well, can you wake up earlier, while they're asleep? Can you just do half an hour, 45 minutes of some painting? And then, once they wake up, you do breakfast for the kids and everything. Then the next day, wake up early again. Maybe even if it requires for you to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and paint with your brush a little bit, and that's going to be your story later on of how I made it. And, but you got to put effort. You got to start something brand new. Maybe it's not even painting. Maybe you're a blogger. Maybe, a podcaster. Maybe start, you want to be a podcaster. Maybe you can try a podcasting channel. It could be anything. It maybe try real estate, right? It is Capricorn rules real estate. And so there's something that you will start with this full moon that can bring a challenge to Neptune, maybe near the water. Maybe you live around communities that have beaches and so forth. Um, it could be something pertaining to police because 4 degrees, real estate, the police. Maybe you don't like working around. There's a lot of police protection around, but if you live in a tourist place, it's most likely that you're going to live around police. Or maybe you want protection and you don't feel protected enough where you live. And so you got to let go of that and move into a new location, okay, where there is police protection, right? That could be an example, maybe somewhere around the water, okay? So there's some challenge with how you make money and where you live, okay, or where you want to live. Maybe, like I said, you have to do a drastic decision here, and for your well-being, for your money, for your lifestyle, and that could be a challenge there. Okay, let me just jump into something else. It took a lot of time there. Also, it is squaring Saturn, okay, and Saturn is at 14 degrees. Okay, Saturn is in the sign of Aries. Okay, and it is. Let me see. I think it was no, it was not. So it's at 14 degrees of banks. Okay, so there's something about money, something about wealth, something about banks, loans, anything like that. Maybe credit. Okay, that could prevent you from moving. Probably, maybe you don't have really good credit. And maybe somebody can help you because Saturn rules billionaires. Saturn rules older men. Saturn rules like fathers, grandfathers, owners of businesses or anything like that. Okay, investors. Okay, all of that is 14 degrees of banks. It's the sign of Taurus, so it has to do with real estate, and that's where Saturn's at. Now you also have to look at it's in the sign of Aries. Aries is a cardinal sign, so it is a cardinal signs are leaders. Okay, so that's where Saturn is. So when it's in the sign of leadership, okay, which is the cardinal sign, most likely this Saturn here would be someone that has a lot of money, has a lot of resources, or has a lot of connections in some court, in some sort of way. I don't know, I was going to say court. I don't know why I was going to say court. Some sort of way. And I don't know, maybe it has something to do with courts or the justice law or something. I don't know. But Saturn in Aries here, let me look at what house it's here. This one's here is in the fifth house, okay? So the fifth house has to do, I like the fifth house. The fifth house is game on. It's let's take a gamble, let's take a risk, Saturn wants to take a risk. Saturn is able to see, like, maybe they're following influencers, maybe they're following people that have a lot of influence, that can influence decisions and so forth, and want to take a chance on that person, and says, let's go for it. The fifth house is also the house of I express myself, right? So it's also about expressing creative outlets and self-expression, which can be a little bit dramatic, but it could be in the artistic and the fine arts, okay? Also has to do with children. It has to do with enjoyment, pleasures, amusement parks, vacations, games, the lottery. Like I said, sports and gambling. Okay, it has to do with the fifth house as well. And so it's with Saturn. And these could be like these Saturnian men that are betting on the whole FIFA, you know. They're just there in the stadium, in the bleachers, and looking at the game. You see all those big men with money and so forth, and they're looking at how the team, how the teams are playing, right? And because it's in the fifth house. So let me see here. And also, we have Pallas, which is an asteroid of strategy that is coming together with Saturn. So, Saturn really is strategizing, okay? Saturn is strategizing. And where we have the asteroid of strategy, it's at 17 degrees of Leo, okay? So, these could be these men in the sign of Aries, these men that have Aries, Leo. That are leaders, and they are strategizing with Saturn over some sort of contract. It could be contracts, it could be money in the fifth house of entertainment, of like, let's take a gamble, like we need to take a risk, okay? We need to take a risk on this person, you know, and maybe offer a contract, or I don't know, anything. It could be signatures, it could be NDAs, it could be anything like that. Okay. So that is where Saturn is coming together in the sign of Aries. Okay. Um, where it's challenging this full moon in Capricorn. Okay. So it could be countries as well, uh, other countries, it's bringing some kind of challenge with this full moon in Capricorn. But it is about letting go of what no longer serves you, that old cycle, those old routines, those old habits that no longer are valid. It's like we don't go by that anymore. I seen a video, it was in YouTube, and it said the law of attraction is bullshit. And it's so interesting because it came from a coach that used to promote the law of attraction, but now he's saying that the law of attraction is bullshit. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if because I posted something about Bob Proctor, where I sometimes, he used to teach the law of attraction. There's a lot of competition going on right now, by the way. Um, I just laugh. I think it's funny. But anyway, when I see videos, because I'm like, he used to promote, I mean, this guy that's saying the law of attraction is bullshit, he used to promote it. Okay. And he even has a lot of friends that promote the law of attraction. But now he's saying, well, because now there's new ways to manifest, right? You don't have to go through the law of attraction anymore, right? And so, now he's saying this is the easiest way to do it. Okay, the fastest and the easiest way to do it without having to go through the law of attraction. And most likely it's just manifestation with neuroscience. I mean, we all know that ChatGPT, AI, and all of that. Also, having to twist and make it your own energy. Um, I've learned a lot of that as well. I think the whole law of attraction is more like the old Capricorn ways of how to manifest. And now we're implementing new ways to manifest through neuroscience, through AI, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it is, right? Of changing that frequency, right? And, pretty much making it your own. That's what Steve Jobs taught in his book, you know? So it could be something like that. Okay. So there's some kind of challenge here. And by the way, he is a Capricorn. Okay. So it's interesting here. Maybe he's letting go of the old ways of how to manifest and trying new things, you know? So here the moon is in Capricorn, the full moon's in Capricorn. And so it's challenging here, Neptune and Saturn in Aries. Okay, that has to do with leadership. Okay. Um, let's see here. The moon, that one does not matter. Um, okay, that one. I think that's about it. That to tell you the truth, the full moon is trining. I do have to say it is trining the MC. Okay, so that's very important because it's what we release. It brings in harmony our midheaven. Okay, so the midheaven um, is the 10th house. Okay, so where we have the midheaven, um, it's in Virgo. Let me grab it here. It is. Oh, here we go. It's just I have so many asteroids here. Oh, yeah, it's in Virgo. And so, what that means is as we release, well, yeah, it would try because they're both earth signs. When we release the full moon in Capricorn, then it gives us an opportunity, not an opportunity, but we are in alignment, in harmony with the midheaven in Virgo. So I do feel that this full moon in Capricorn is a little bit serious, where we need to take it serious, okay? Because we are resetting, okay, this full moon. And as it aligns with the midheaven in Virgo, which is a 10th house, which is elevation, fame, recognition, it's not saying that every Virgo is going to be recognized. What it's saying is that is the Virgo frequency of having to be detailed, having to take it serious, you know, having to take your health serious, your pets serious, having to be of service. It also rolls the police. Okay, I feel as we go into 4th of July, there's going to be plenty of police everywhere in Southern California. That is another podcast that I'm going to be talking about, that we need to take it serious, you know, because these planets are serious. We're coming in serious times, but a lot of exciting times too. Okay, so don't get too much into the seriousness, but do be aware. It is going to be volatile the fourth of July. Okay, so like I mentioned, you know, don't go get some surgery. Don't go bungee jumping. Don't go skydiving, zip lining, anything with the air. Just don't do that. Okay, as we approach 4th of July, especially with Mercury retrograde, also, okay, where there could be miscommunication. So let's say you go ziplining, right? And there was a you thought everything was right, and there was a miscommunication, and for some reason, instead of going this route, you went the other route, and maybe there was no safety zone on this other route where the zip lining was, and the belt broke off. Okay, so it could be some example like that. You got to think of frequency wise. Everything's frequency, right? So maybe there was a miscommunication. Maybe you ordered it to go this way, and they put you on one of the zip liners to go the other way, and you know, but you were supposed to go this way where you paid, but they send you another way because of miscommunication. That can happen very easily with Mercury retrograde. And what happens is that there was a danger zone on the opposite way where you were heading in, right? So you were heading right into a dark hole. And things happen and you didn't make it, and things like that can happen because of miscommunication, or ordering tickets online and then you didn't get the deal, or something, or your packages are getting delayed. I'm going through that right now, and I had to resolve it. And like I mentioned, thank God that Amazon has the best AI. I do have to say, my God. So my packages were delayed, and then I had to complain, like, because I'm a Prime member, and I should get them within the first 48 hours, and they took at least like 4 days, and I complained, and I was talking to the AI chat bot, and my situation that I haven't got my, they said, well, let me research. And they were like researching. I didn't even have to talk to a live person. It was just through the chat bot. And they have what, I don't know. Well, Amazon has money, so they have some of the best AI. But I was like, whoa, I was impressed, And so it was like I was talking to a live person, and they solved my problem. Whoops. They solved my problem and everything happened so fast. And, they send me another package, and they even told me, the chat bot told me, you should have complained. Well, they didn't say complained, but you should have reported way sooner. You shouldn't have waited this long, or something, not that long, but I think one of the reasons that I waited was because Amazon was telling me, well, it's expected to be delivered this day, So I said, okay, well, I'll wait till that day, and they say, if you don't get it this day, then do, make a report and stuff like that, right? And I did, but I don't know why the chat bot told me I should have, reported it way earlier. But anyway, it was a confusion, and so I'm like, Mercury retrograde already, So, but I'm not gonna get flustered. If we fixed it, they fixed it. There was open communication, and that's what can happen. So just have open communication. Don't get flustered or nothing like that. And as long as there's communication, and you say, this is my issue, I have not got my package, or whatever it is, can you look into it, right? They'll look into it. They'll get back to you, and they'll tell you, okay, this is a problem. Da, da, da. We'll replace it. We'll refund your money. What do you want? Right? And so they gave me options. So they said, do you want your money? Do you want the package? Do you want me to resend you? I said, resend, because I really wanted the product, right? And so those are the things that can happen. Just examples. You could lose your keys. You could get locked out of your house, out of your car. Make sure you have extra keys with you or something, So those are just some examples there. So basically here for the full moon in Capricorn, it is a Saturn ruler. So where Saturn is, it's in Aries, and it is making that square there. So there could be some challenge, something to do with your home or your environment and the way you make money, and whether you make money or not. Maybe you're not making money. Okay. So maybe you need to move to a location where you are going to make money. Okay. So this has to do a lot of this full moon effects on your money, on your earning power, on your real estate, okay, and also of service on the MC and Virgo, okay? How you are of service. You cannot be of service if you're doing it for free. You got to pay bills. You got to eat. You got to dress well. You got to look, especially now with Jupiter and Leo, right? There's a lot of competition with Jupiter and Leo, right? Everybody's flaunting their gold, and they want to smell good, they want to look good, and everything. And the Bible does say that the work that you do needs to be paid. So anyway, I leave you guys here, and I hope you guys are having a really, really great full moon, and understand that we are in the portal. So this is just starting. Okay, so notice all the things that are going to be ending, whether it's breakups, situations that are going to happen, moving location, moving. I mean, we know what happened in Venezuela. A lot of people are going to be moving. A lot of people, just a lot of help that's needed over there. When it comes to real estate. And so, but here for us in the United States, okay, uh, find ways to make money, connect with people, move to locations, travel to locations where they can offer you something. I mean, luckily, I do have a part-time job. I'm a part-time caretaker, but I can get another job to do, like maybe you know, part-time, maybe a couple hours or something, that I can work from home. I can do something, you know, because it could get a little bit boring, the whole caretaking, honestly, to tell the truth. And it is hard caretaking because you could even get sick yourself. I know I do have a cousin that used to caretake my uncle that he passed away. He was my mom's brother. And unfortunately, she got sick. And unfortunately, I think she has cancer. And she's my age. And I'm like, whoa, but because she took care of her father for a long time, because he was sick, he was blind, because he was a construction worker and he got blind. And all these years she's been taking care of him. And she ended up getting sick. So we do have to protect ourselves. That's why I try to do fun things. I try to, invest in myself, like a fitness plate, where my body's always moving around and stuff, going out in nature, playing with my turtles sometimes, and things like that. And the podcast, which, I love podcasting. So, um, just take care of your health, be safe, drink water. Don't stress yourself, because I feel this is the calm before the storm, because we're coming into really, really unexpected energies that are coming in, especially with 4th of July and so forth. July whew, is an unexpected month. Okay. A lot of things are going to happen in July. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day, or great night. If you guys did like the episode, do like, do share, do subscribe, do tell your friends and family, because as we grow the podcast, then we can bring more awareness into the world and help each other out. Have a great day and see you on the next one.